A New Mexico judge is hearing preliminary arguments in the case of two Albuquerque police officers who shot and killed a homeless man camping in the foothills last year. A body camera captured the confrontation with James Boyde.
Trying to harm you. All right?
Do it.
Get on the ground!
Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Don't make fun of people.
We freeze the video here. What happens next is several shots are fired. Police say Boyde threatened the officers with a knife before they shot him. Now, yesterday, the judge dropped involuntary manslaughter charges against Officer Dominique Perez and former detective Keith Sandy, but he refused to dismiss charges of murder, aggravated assault, and aggravated battery. Here to discuss the developments is Shannon Kennedy, the civil rights attorney who helped negotiate a $5 million settlement between Boyde's family and the city. Hi, Shannon. Thanks for being here.
Hi, good to be here with you.
So the city has said the settlement was not an admission of guilt, and now we're at the preliminary hearing stage on the criminal side. What's the significance, first, of dropping those manslaughter charges, but also refusing to dismiss charges of murder? What does that mean for this case going forward?
I believe it means that it's more likely than not the case is going to go forward, and the two shooting officers are going to face both second-degree murder charges and involuntary or voluntary manslaughter charges, which is a lesser included of second-degree murder. So the dismissal of involuntary manslaughter actually just cleans up the case, because involuntary manslaughter is when someone is criminally negligent. For example, when someone is very, very drunk and shoots their gun and kills someone, and it's an accident essentially, but an accident caused by recklessness. In this case, it's clear that the shooting officers intended to shoot and kill James Matthew Boyde. So it is more proper to be in front of a jury on a second-degree murder charge than on a charge such as involuntary manslaughter.
So we've seen the video. What sort of evidence are they reviewing now?
Well, what the court is reviewing now is some of the defense case, which they are trying to say that they were provoked or that they were using self-defense so that they should not be bound over on the murder charges. However, it's clear that they brought the fight to James Matthew Boyde in a way that constitutes excessive force, so that James had a right to defend himself. So I'm very confident that this case is going to be bound over and that there will be a jury trial to determine whether the officers are guilty of second-degree murder.
I wanted to touch on that because I was wondering what you made of how all of this played out from watching the video. Now, Boyde seems to be packing his bag to leave, and then police shot what looked like some sort of flash bomb, which seemed to seriously escalate the situation and Boyde's demeanor as a whole. So how could this all play into the case?
Well, it plays into the case because the officers use excessive force, provoking Boyde. When he pulls out the knives, it's only after he's been attacked by a dog and they shoot the taser shotgun at him. So a question for a jury would be, is it reasonable for someone suffering from schizophrenia to defend himself with knives when he's being attacked with the dog and guns are pointing at him? And that's a question of fact for the jury. It's not a question of law for the judge to decide. So because of those facts, because of the facts you see on the video, it's highly likely these two men are going to be facing murder charges.
And that this case will go to trial, as you believe?
Absolutely. And the other evidence is so strong against Officer Sandy is that 2 hours before he shoots and kills James Matthew Boyde, he says, "I'm going to shoot this effing lunatic with a taser shotgun." So it's evidence of intent to bring the fight to James Matthew Boyde. And because of that strong evidence, in addition to the video of the killing itself, it's likely they're going to be bound over.
So what about the Department of Justice investigation that ruled Albuquerque Police Department needs reform? Can you explain what the department is facing now? This was all brought on because of this publicized case.
Well, it was actually brought on prior to this publicized case. This case is mentioned in the report, but the report came down in April just shortly following the James Matthew Boyde shooting and the protests in the streets. But for the 2 years prior, the Department of Justice was investigating over 20 police-involved shootings from 2009 to 2012. And they found that the majority of those shootings were unconstitutional and unlawful. So as a result of that, we now have a consent decree, and the city of Albuquerque will be spending $4 to $6 million for the next 5 to 6 years to make changes in the police department to save lives.
Civil rights attorney Shannon Kennedy, thank you for your insight.
You're welcome.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.